Welcome to Sicilian Gooner TV, Sicilian Gooner Transfer Talk. I'm with Martin. If you notice, my video freezes occasionally. It's something that I do not know what it is right now. I'm trying to identify it. I will hopefully soon identify it and get rid of that, but you'll still hear me if it ever freezes a little bit. Martin will be 100% okay. It's weird. It's nothing to do with connection, like internet connection or anything like that. So yeah, Martin, how you been though, man? Before we get into it, how you been?
Just enjoying other sports, trying to pass the time until the football comes back around. But yeah, nice weather here, and yeah, just can't wait to get some transfers. But I think it's going to be a while by the look of it.
Yeah, man. I mean, like here in the UK, like we're in June, and the weather's not picking up, and it's like, what's going on? Why is the weather still rubbish in June? Like, what's going on? But yeah, listen, it's been a bit boring without like the Premier League for me. Like, there's not really other sports that I get really this excited for, like the way I do with football. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit like for me.
Formula
right
One
now. Formula One, yeah, Formula One. I'm waiting for next season. Let me just change this because we have our third guest here. First time on the channel.
What's up, guys?
Stefan, hello, my guy. Introduce yourself.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we can hear you, man.
Yeah, everything good with the audio. How's everybody? How's everybody doing?
Yeah, we're good, man.
Good, mate.
It's been a pretty slow kind of summer compared to last year, that's for sure. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on the on the Sesko news?
Yeah, literally. Well, with that, let's get right into it. Let's go. We'll start with Sesko. Obviously, today, Sesko announced that he's. Oh, my video's frozen on a weird angle, but yes, Sesko is staying at RB Leipzig. He's putting a year extension on his contract, and he's choosing to stay there for another year, which, listen, the Arsenal side or transfer side aside, for me, is the correct decision. If I was him, if I was his father, if I was his friends, I'd have been advising him, listen, stay there one more year. You're 20 years old, mate. Get your game time in. These guys will still want you in a year, 2 years. They're still going to, if you're that good, these teams are still going to want to get you. Play stuff. I'm not personally that annoyed at it because I didn't personally really want him that much because I felt like I wanted some. I personally want someone a bit better, a bit more of a star. Better, maybe not, but like a star. We don't know what he'd do. He's a bit unproven for me. But I am happy that because he ain't coming to us, he's actually not leaving the club. Because I would hate that I said all this and then he goes to Chelsea and next season he bangs 30 goals in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? But you boys, what's you boys? Is it Martin? What do you think about Sesko?
I'm one of a few people that wanted Sesko before we were linked to him. So actually, I wanted Tony before that, but then Tony kind of fell out of favor with the club and whatever. So I was like, okay, that's probably not realistic. But I do want that striker that's going to pop up like a salmon and head the ball in when we need it, and or finish the ball like from outside the box. So Sesko ticked a few things for me. I wasn't fully attached to him, but I'm glad he's staying instead of going to Chelsea. I think that just turned into like a Arsenal versus Chelsea, transfer debacle again. And everyone was saying that Chelsea are going to win and blah blah blah. And I was like, one, I'm getting abused for wanting Sesko in the first place, and two, it's going to turn into a shit show. So whatever, let's just leave him and. Yeah, we've still got to get an attacker, I think, but day by day, it makes me feel like we're not actually going to do a lot of business. That's my hunch.
Stefan, what do you think about
I mean, for me, guys, I personally look at the striker market this season, and I really don't see a certified quality. Everybody raves about, like, for example, B216 here with the common Osimhen. I'm really not convinced. If you look at his just his record, he has only one season with over 20 goals, and that was last year when Napoli won the league. His injury record is horrendous. So if you're paying 130 million euros, that I think it was something along those lines, 120 million euros, I think was his release clause, and Napoli are insisting they don't want anything less. I'm sorry, he's nowhere near worth that because the moment we sign him, he's going to get injured, and then people are going to moan about why did we sign an injury-prone player. But speaking to what, going forward to what Martin said, I did want Sesko also. I was on Connor's show on CMO Sports, and I said, if I was him, I would agree with you, Giuseppe. I would tell him to stay one more season, maybe sign a new deal, and then, because I don't think he's ready. And then if you look at it from his perspective, he's either going to come to Arsenal where he's not guaranteed a starting spot whatsoever, or he's going to be the main guy at Leipzig, get a new deal, be the star player within that team, be guaranteed playing time. I would have also stayed. And, Sesko was not a sure thing. People are raving about the fact that, he rejected us. Okay, yeah, he rejected us, but it's not a big deal for me. And if you look at the striker market, the only striker that I truly want, that I think if we pay big bucks for, is worth the money. I really like Gyökeres from Sporting, but he's had one really good season. Let's be honest. He had a good season at Coventry before that, but he's had two really good. So again, it's not certified quality. The only one that I would like is Ollie Watkins, but Ollie Watkins for me is not attainable. Isaac I really like, but again, injury prone. Injury prone. I do not want, because if you look at the only player that has not, where in terms of a leopard doesn't change its spots, is Partey. Partey came from Atletico Madrid, where he had an immaculate injury record, where I remember reading he hadn't gotten injured in like 2 or 3 years, and then he became. But if you look at every single player that had a red flag with injuries that came to Arsenal, the Kieran Tierney's, the Tomiyasus, Zinchenko's, even Gabriel Jesus was not as injury prone as he is at Arsenal, but he did have injuries at Man City. Every single one of those players has proven to be injury prone. So for me, that's also really important. And right now in the market, if I was Arsenal, guys, looking at the value that is available, I would swing towards signing a winger. That's just my opinion. I would sign a top-class winger or a top-class midfielder, because and just wait for next summer for the striker market. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I do really think we need a striker this window. I am very much on the thing of a striker. But I do get what you're saying. The striker window is a little bit, let's just say it's a bit underwhelming. I think the thing is right now, I feel like there's no guarantees out there of anyone that's going to come in and maybe push us to that next level. Maybe that is why Arsenal are saying, listen, this year we'll go for someone like a Xerxes or someone along these lines, a cheaper young option to maybe be that might not ever be the first choice, but then next season we can go and buy the superstar. But I do think on that note, we do need to go, and if we don't do that, or we get a cheap alternative for a striker, we need to go and buy a big boy winger.
Guys, yeah, can we also kind of highlight the fact that as we're now at this stage where we're a really, really good team, we're on the cusp of pretty much matching Man City, it's getting harder and harder to actually find players that will either compete with the players that we currently have in the first 11, but also level raisers, improve the starting 11. For me, there are clear areas. For me, there are two main zones, as you said, that we can improve. For me, left back, we can easily sign a left back, in my opinion, that can improve our starting 11. If we sign a really good left back, that improves our team, in my opinion. And then the other one,
are you thinking that Timber won't be playing left back?
No, in terms of Timber could play left back, but but Martin, why don't we sign a Urian Timber but left-footed? Why don't we sign that? Why does Timber have to? Why can't we play Timber to compete with Ben White? Have two incredible right backs, and then sign a bona fide left back, maybe a versatile. I think he would be amazing at Arsenal. The Wolves left back. I think he would be perfect. Yeah, I think he'd be absolutely perfect for the system. And he also has something that we lack, I think, especially in the left fullback zone, which is running with the ball. He's got pure speed, pure athleticism, something like what Man City have with Kyle Walker, where they have their center backs that are turned into fullbacks, but they also have their really athletic fullback that he can he can cover everybody. So for me, and then the other position I think we can really improve on, I really rate him as a player, but he's always injured, is I would say a center midfielder, a number 8, for example. There we can say, like, for example, I'm shocked that we're not interested in Douglas Luiz. Like, he's going to Juventus supposedly for peanuts.
Yeah,
I think we are interested. I just don't think Aston Villa have any intentions to sell him to us because they're competing directly with us. I don't think they want us to strengthen us like that. So he's going for 20 million.
If you look at the chat, they're all saying like Osimhen's the guy. They're all saying Osimhen 25.
No,
Listen,
first, he's gotten 25 plus goals once in his career. BT, how is he 130 million? How is he?
Well, his release clause is 120 million euros, which ends up being 100 million pounds. I did read something that said we were offering them 90 million euros, which would be 72 million pounds. I think something like that, 70 million, something along them lines. I think that's actually not bad. I think we can go and do an Osimhen. I would personally take Osimhen. For me, it's it's Osimhen or Gyökeres. That's me personally. But that's me wanting the superstar, wanting that name, wanting someone who puts fear into people when they're like, oh crap, they got Osimhen. Like, no matter what, he sort of does that. And I think in our system, Osimhen could actually be even better than he is at Napoli, because Napoli.
Don't you think it'd be better value to go for Rafael Leao? I know you know a lot about him at AC Milan.
I agree.
I'm an AC Milan fan, right? So I watch AC Milan a lot, and I rate Leao. But then you've also got that same exact thing with Leao that you have with Osimhen. He's never really been. Yet I don't think he's ever really been for AC Milan. Like he's been good, like Osimhen has, but I feel like he also has that unproven factor as well, where you could actually bring him in and he's not as good as you expect him to be. And I think we would have to spend a bucket load to get him off of AC Milan. But what I will say is, whatever Arsenal end up doing, we have to back as a team, as a fans. We have to back it and give them a chance. Look, we didn't think Kai Havertz could come in and get more than like 4 goals, and this guy got double-digit goals in his first season. So for me, we got to sit back and be like relaxing and taking our time. I know a lot of people are breaking down that we haven't signed a player yet. I'm like, bloody hell, the transfer window ain't even open yet. Like, calm down.
Nobody has signed a player. Like, which team has signed a player?
Chelsea have on a free transfer, and it's Chelsea. The guys that go and sign.
Yeah, great. Well done. Yeah, well done to Chelsea signing some shit center back from Fulham. Great, well done. Yeah, it's like well done that they did their typical stuff, which was Newcastle had agreed to deal with him, and then they came in and hijacked the actual deal. That's what they always do, and it's gotten them a lot of success over the last 2 years. I don't know why they signed the center back. They have 7 center backs, by the way. So I have no idea why they signed him.
They just collect players over there.
If you guys are telling me, if you're replacing Thiago Silva with Tosin Adebayo, great. Good luck with that. That's all I'm going to say to that.
I think you were right before about everyone that we can buy is unproven, basically. And the people that are proven either have retired or we can't buy them, right? There's only a couple of clubs better than us. It's Man City and Real Madrid and maybe Liverpool, and none of them are going to give up any of their like proven players to us. So we've got to be a little bit creative with this, and maybe we'll have to do something like bring Mika Biereth back from loan as the backup striker to replace Eddie or something. Like, it's kind of crazy.
I think it's I think for me, listen, there's options. I don't know how do you feel about going back in for a Vlahovic?
I'd love Vlahovic, but we also have to think about being realistic. It's Italy, it's Juventus. You know how it is. They have a new coach who's now going to play a much more attacking system that will suit Vlahovic. So I really don't think, one, Juventus will be interested in selling him, and 2, Vlahovic would also be really interested in playing, because from what I read, Allegri, Vlahovic hated him. So for me, in terms of like he's gonna want to stay. The striker market, if you look at the wingers that we could sign, I think there's far better options of good value. You look at Pedro Neto, Olise, Nico Williams from Athletic Bilbao. Like, there's some really good players that we can sign that are not as risky as signing a Gyökeres for 100 million or Osimhen for a bit more. That are, I actually rate Gyökeres more than Osimhen just watching them play. But they're not guaranteed. That's the thing. Like when we signed Declan Rice, we knew that 100 million. I mean, we didn't know for sure, but we knew that it would be totally worth it based on the player that we had watched. If you tell me now, can you guarantee Osimhen to be a full-on success like Declan Rice was? You can't. So for me, that's why it's really, really tricky. I think with every transfer window, if you look at Arsenal's last year, we always sign 2 players that were always been tracking and scouting, like a Urian Timber or a Declan Rice. And then the other 2 players are market opportunities. So like Kai Havertz became available and we became interested. I don't think we were like scouting him extensively before that. The same with David Raya, who we were interested from before. And I think this year, I also think the journalists are really frustrated because Arsenal are keeping a really, really tight lid and nobody knows what is going on. Like everybody's just using rumors and stuff like that. So
listen, they're out for you. They're out for you, bro. Stefan, they're out for you. Please ban the man.
I don't get this.
Listen, we don't ban anyone. Everyone's got their opinions. You might not agree with it. He says you need glasses.
Okay, wait, Chief. Chief Owen Nikoku. Tell me how many goals and how well did Osimhen do this season? Can you please tell me? Because didn't Napoli finish 9th this year?
So this is the thing.
I thought he was talking about me because I said something about Mika Biereth. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Stefan. Like there's an issue of quality. You're not going to get value for money if you try and blow $100 million. People just want us to spend $100 million on something.
Yeah,
they want us to go and get Watkins for 100.
There's one.
I would see for Watkins. Watkins has proven over 2 years that he's a top. He's a top Premier. The other thing that people are forgetting is you're also paying that money. You want some guarantees. One of the things that makes it more safe in terms of the money you're going to pay is he Prem proven? For me, that's really important because every player that comes in from another league, it'll take him time to actually adapt. So Osimhen coming from Serie A, where the style of play is much slower, where the defenders that he plays against are not as physical, there's gonna be some sort of learning curve, no matter how good he is. So again, like this, we got to spend 100 million, or we're not ambitious on Osimhen. This is why our fan base, some of our fan base, I really just despise.
The thing is, for me, there's two players that are probably ideal for the situation we're in, and who I would personally say I would like us to sign one of them. But I actually do think both of them are probably unattainable. One is Isaac, and I think he's just unattainable because I think Newcastle right now, they're not selling him.
200 million.
The price will be outrageous, so we can't get him. And the other person, which I actually generally think is probably our best option, is Julian Alvarez. But then I don't think City are going to sell him to us. See, you don't like Alvarez. See, I really rate Alvarez.
We have a better version of Julian Alvarez. We have Gabriel Jesus. Julian Alvarez. He's basically Gabriel Jesus. Huh?
I actually rate him highly. See, I look at past it. I think he's been held back by being at City right now. Jesus always had that thing of not being clinical, even at City. This guy is clinical. He just gets held back by. He got signed in the same window as Erling Haaland, which is just a beast, and he's getting pushed left, right, and center in his team, and he ain't actually getting the feel of being the guy. Now, I think if we bought him in and said, "Listen, you're our main striker, you're our main attacker,"
he's too small.
I think he links everything up.
Small.
I agree with
physical. He's not physical. We have these type of skillful technical players. We have Trossard, who for me is a better version of Alvarez. Gabriel Jesus, for me, on his day, is better than Julian Alvarez. Julian Alvarez is
to answer your question.
Okay.
I mean, that's not bad.
We're paying 100 million for a guy that has scored, and not only did he miss because of AFCON, he's also not being truthful here. He also missed a number of games because of injury. So that's also not particularly true. So he can sugarcoat Osimhen, but at the end of the day, the facts are, in over 7 or 8 seasons of professional football in Lille, in at Napoli. He has only had one season with over 20 goals in the league. One. I'm sorry. Look at what Bayern did. They signed Harry Kane and they paid 100 million because they know Harry Kane guarantees you 25 to 30 goals. That's what we need. If we're gonna sign that type of money, that's what
I think that 100 million is probably too steep for him. I don't think we'll personally pay that. I think that if we can get him for 70 million, that's a good. If we pay 100 million euros, then that's not too bad. But I think 100 million pounds for him is a bit of a stretch, and I don't personally think Arsenal are going to do that unless he's a guaranteer. And I don't think there's really. I think they'll do that for Isaac. I think they'd pay 100 for Isaac. But that's about it. That's the only guy I think they'll do it.
He's also not worth 100 million. He's too injury prone. He's missed like every year. He misses 2 to 3 months. You cannot pay for someone that like I don't get people's. They like watching highlight reels instead of actually kind of looking at just the sheer value of the actual transfer. Ollie Watkins is potentially
saying,
worth.
bro, you wouldn't sign any strikers.
No,
so
if you ask me dream scenario, I would sign Watkins because I would pay for Watkins maybe not 100, but I would pay 70 to 80 for Watkins because he's not injury prone, he's prem proven, and for me last season, and in my opinion, I know people will disagree, for me he should have been the player of the year. The guy had the most goals and assists playing for Aston Villa, not for Man City, not for Arsenal. He had the most goals and assists. So that shows that he's not only just a goal scorer, he's a supremely well-rounded player. And at the same time, he suits our system because he's versatile. He can play on the wing too. He played for Aston Villa on the wing. So for me, he is the most complete striker that we should be looking at. But he's not attainable. That's just
I don't think he's I don't think they're gonna let him. If they're letting Douglas Luiz go like this, I can't see them letting Ollie Watkins go.
No chance.
I mean, if we go in and push the buttons, I don't know. Maybe we might be able to get something out of him because I just think that the only chance we'd have is that Ollie Watkins is an Arsenal fan, and he might see this move as his big move and his one chance to get his big move, so he might push it.
True.
That's the only way that would happen is if he actually actively says to Villa, listen, I want to go Arsenal. And that's that.
Then there's the BTEC Watkins Solanke, who.
Oh, no, please.
Listen, Solanke, listen, I said it the other day in the chat. Solanke would be wicked for me if we already had Isaac. Yeah, if we already had an Isaac and there's like, we want like a second option off the bench, like a big guy. A strong guy, a different type of striker as like a second option. That's when I would say a Solanke. I'm not signing him to be.
So you're gonna pay 65 million for a backup? Is that what
I
you're
think
saying?
But to be honest, I actually do believe that we're at the place in time where that is what you have to pay for replacements and backups if you want to be like Man City's level and competing on all fronts, because the player market he's not worth 65 million, bro. This is the problem. He should be a 30-40 million pound player that you're signing to be a backup, but now 30-40 million pound players are now 60 to 70 million pound players. It's just the way the game has turned and it's gone mad. Listen, we see.
Also got to remember that Kai is going to be the starting striker.
Yeah, and Kai from January onwards, I don't know if you guys read this stat. Kai Havertz, the only player that had more goals and assists than him from January was Cole Palmer, and that's with all the penalties. So I would argue that Kai Havertz was by far the most effective forward player in terms of goals, in terms of stats for the last like 4 months. So Kai Havertz, in my opinion, will definitely improve next year. I think he will score more goals next year because he'll play more as the number 9. I just think that this Solanke has had one good season. Rewind back to last summer, everybody thought Solanke was crap because he was. And when you watch Solanke, the amount of chances that he misses, I'm not saying every player misses. Watkins has bad misses, Haaland has bad misses, but some of the Solanke misses, guys, like they're terrible. Like for me, he is not good enough.
How about
we're shopping for a second striker? If we get Osimhen, then we're pushing Kai to midfield or putting him on the bench. So
how about How would
I don't
you
know,
guys?
man.
What would you guys feel about if Arsenal said, you know what, look, 40 million, 50 million, we'll go and grab Ivan Toney from Brentford. Would you
He's
guys?
not
What
coming.
would you guys think about that?
Martin,
What's
what do
that?
you think?
I think he's stylistically, he's kind of like a B-Tech Kane. He drops deep, he makes plays, he wins
Yeah.
balls. He's kind of tricky. I want him to play last man. Look, we've got so many good set pieces. I just want someone to like be able to head it in naturally. Like Havertz's heading ability is coming along, but I don't trust him to hit a target.
Yeah.
And everyone else is, a little bit short. Or then we're dealing with centre back. So I don't know. I kind of want a plan B, but I don't think Tony wants to be a guy that comes off the bench at this point in his career.
Well,
So,
there's
yeah.
a lot of Osimhen support in the comments.
I
I
love. By the way,
oh my God.
yeah, I love Ivan Toney.
Mm.
I love him I think we need that type of striker. He's a different type of profile to anything we have, but he's not coming because let's be honest, he's a dickhead. And
Everyone said that we needed a CN excuse.
No, we need but there's a difference between Ben White and Ivan Toney. Ben White doesn't go and do hundreds of interviews of how he's bigger than Brentford, of how he's expects to sign for Real Madrid whilst he's at Brentford. He just looked like, I don't know whose fault is that. Is that Ivan Toney or his agent? He needs to fire his agent for that, because I really do believe that Arsenal were completely in for him until those interviews. And Arteta has always said the most important thing to him is the culture that he breeds. And if the player is the wrong character profile, he's not going to sign him. And with Toney, I think it's not his ability that has stopped Arsenal to signing him. It is his character. I mean, how many times has he embarrassed Brentford? Even before the interviews, I remember, I think he was on holiday or something, and he was like trying to hit on a chick, and she asked him, like, what are you? And he's like, I'm a professional football player. I play for the small club. You don't know it. What a dick. Listen,
he is a bit, but I do listen, I think that if Arsenal do sign a striker, I think it's going to come, it could very much come from left field, being like a Ivan Toney. Yeah. Like, we haven't heard no links to Ivan Toney. All of a sudden we put in a bid for Ivan Toney or something like that. I think it could really come out of left field.
And I'll say this, I don't care about his character in that particular. Every good striker that I played with was an arrogant bastard, and they just believed that they were better than everyone else and that they should be a better. Look, I can totally understand that, because it comes from, like, he was off the field. He had nothing to do for 9 months because he was banned and everyone just wanted to talk to him. And his reputation went through the roof even when he wasn't playing. So I think he got full of himself, and yeah, apparently that turned us off.
No, but but Martin, isn't, for me, that was the biggest issue. After that screw up that you did, that there was like a PR campaign of how they should have sympathy, they should support him, and Brentford completely supported him, gave him a new deal, said that they would help him to recover, didn't say, forget the fact that he missed 8 months, and because of his stupidity cost them 8 months. And then on top of that, he does these interviews where he acts like he's the world's biggest victim, where he even called out, I remember he called out Thomas Frank for saying that Thomas Frank wants to sell him. Just, in my opinion, the way he acted after he came back from the ban showed me what type of character he is, and I don't want him anywhere near. I'm not saying we need an arrogant striker. Haaland is arrogant, but there's a difference between being arrogant and just a dickhead. He's just a dickhead. He's perfect for Man United. He should go to that dressing room full of prima donnas there. He'll be perfect. He'll be perfect.
I will lead the BT 616 says he'll lead the protest if it happens. I don't know what player he's talking about. Maybe it's Toney. And they're saying, you don't care about his character. Wow, I think that's at you. That's at you, Martin. And Peter Man said Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad should be a no-brain signing. Why? My way, Napoli had 4 coaches this season. Dysfunctional. It's a factor. Listen, the dysfunction at Napoli is true. I think, like, I do watch a lot of Serie A. I know a lot of Serie A. I've got my best mate. One of my best mates is a Napoli fan through and through. And he did say, obviously, if you guys don't know what happened with them, their manager basically wanted to go to Italy. And in Italy, when it comes to national teams, they've basically got a thing where they can basically say, yeah, no, you have to let him come to the national team. You haven't got to say.
But
You've got to lose
okay,
your manager.
no,
Then they lost the manager, and they lost Kim Min Jae, and their defense was trash, etc., etc. So that is maybe why they finished 9th. That's to defend that.
Stop with these excuses for him. I'm fed up. What's his name? Chief Owen. It sounds like a Spurs fan. Yeah, but if this had happened, if Kane had this player, he would have won a trophy. And if Mourinho was kept as a coach in the League Cup, we would have won the League Cup. He's had. What about the other seasons where he didn't score over 20 goals, Chief? Was it somebody else's fault again? Was it because Kim Min Jae wasn't there? Was it because Kvicha wasn't there? Stop with these excuses. Harry Kane kept scoring 25 goals with Nuno as his coach. So
I will, Stefan, I will ask you this though. Yeah. I do get what you're saying, and you've got your argument definitely holds water. But what I will say is, do you not think that Osimhen could get 20 plus goals in this team?
I honestly, I think he's definitely the profile that we're looking for in terms of what we're missing with his aerial ability and stuff. But for the money that I'm paying, no, I don't think that's worth it. But do I think he can get over 20 goals? Yeah, definitely. I think he's a really talented player. But would I pay that money based on what I've seen, what the precedent in terms of what his stats look like, how he has played? No.
Yeah,
he's not worth.
The thing is, listen, with the strikers, there's so many, and we can go on for ages. Let's just dip into the midfield quick, because that comment from Peterman, the one about Zubimendi, is a no-brainer. What are your thoughts on that? Look, for me, Zubimendi looks like a good player. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen much of Zubimendi. I haven't watched much of him, so I go off what people say. They say he's very good. For me, he'd be my third choice out of maybe even lower. But like, I would much rather Bruno Guimaraes is my number one. I think if we got to spend 100 million on any player, he's the one we should be spending 100 million on. I think below that is the Douglas Luiz, which, listen, it might be unattainable because Villa don't want to sell to us. Yeah, they should be chatty patties and piss off because we sold the Martinez, etc. Listen, they should just like allow us, because that deal that they're getting from Juve is shocking, in my opinion. Weston McKennie sucks, right? He come to Leeds and he sucked it, and he was trash. Yeah, the youngster they're getting. I can't.
What was it, Samuel Illing? I don't even. Has this guy even played for Juventus?
He's 20 years old. He looks all right. But his stats ain't all that. He could be something, and then they're getting 20 million. But they don't really need. He's a winger, and I think that if you look at Aston Villa's team, the one position they probably need less is Aston Villa. Now, is a winger. Sorry. Now, for me, should we go in for Douglas Luiz? Should we bid for him? Should we offer them a players? Yeah. Now, this is the thing, right? They might not want to sell to us because they're like, we don't want to strengthen you. Would you guys be happy with Arsenal or accept Arsenal saying to him, okay, look, straight swap or swap in a little bit of money, Douglas Luiz for Smith Rowe and a bit of money? Would you guys be happy with that?
100%, yeah. Go on, Martin. Sure.
Martin? I know
Look, I'm one of these people that just I actually don't know if there's anyone like me, but I don't think Douglas Luiz is that special. Like, we do this all the time with players where we see them in the league and we see them score a couple of goals from outside the box or do a good set piece, and we think that we need them. But I don't think I don't know what we want to do, and I don't think anyone knows what we want to do. Do we want Rice to be an 8? Do we want to get a 6? Do we want to get an 8 and Rice be the 6? There's a whole bunch of questions there because we've kept Partey and Jorginho to this point. You think he's the 8? Well, I think personally, the guy they bring in, they want him to also be able to play 6 and 8, and they can sort of do a bit of both of them. The one thing I will say to that point, though, Martin, about Douglas Luiz and scoring goals from outside the box, etc., is to be honest, Arteta wanted this guy last season. Yeah, before this season just gone, he wanted him then. We didn't. I would back it. I just think there's better options out
there.
Then
he had after us not getting him and him signing an extension, he had a really good season. So is he actually good? Like Arteta must have seen something, and then he improved even more. And now
I think he will actually improve us potentially as our options, and yeah, great for set pieces and all that kind of stuff, which was really like our bread and butter. So I can see it happening. Look, if they wanted to go for an ESR swap, I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't hate it. I'd be like, fine, bring him on board. But I would rather get a Kimmich, or I would rather get a Goretzka or something like that, or like
Goretzka. Really?
Yeah, like actual like a level up quality rather than like
but
a
Goretzka's
level equal with us.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys follow the German league, but literally Bayern Munich fans would drive Goretzka to the airport to get.
Yeah, but I've seen him do a lot of very good things over a lot of years. Like I know recently he's fallen off of it, but everyone at Bayern has had a bad season-ish or two last couple of seasons.
Martin, I just want to say, for you to be at Bayern and not make the German squad, you must be really, really shit. That's all I'm going to say. Like you have to be horrendous.
I want to say one thing about that, but first of all, big up Sard every time. The Sard raid, they're all here. FK, MDL, they're all here. They're all here. Fraud raid. I don't know if you're calling me a fraud or Sard a fraud, but Sard is a bit of a fraud sometimes, but he's a good guy. Sard raid Goretzka is not better than Douglas Luiz, so he's coming
straight in and dunked on me. Yeah.
The one thing I will say to Stefan about the Goretzka not going to Germany, Goretzka knowingly had beef and issues with Nagelsmann, and now at Bayern, and now he's the manager of Germany. So I feel like if you had beef, he ain't gonna pick him for Germany. So that is the one defense of Goretzka. The one thing I will say is Goretzka did ball out against us, in my opinion. When he
didn't again. See, this is what I mean by reaction. If you watch the game, Goretzka didn't ball out. All he did was run around off the ball and press. That's all he did. If you watch his on the ball quality, he did absolutely nothing, which is why Bayern Munich fans don't rate him, because his nickname at Bayern Munich from Bayern Munich fans is LA Fitness, because they view him as a fitness trainer that's a football player. Like they don't really rate him as a footballer. So Goretzka, Douglas Luiz, I think, in my opinion, it not only is perfect for our system because he's from Man City, he's played in that system, he's very technical, he's a very good all-around player, Douglas Luiz. He can do a bit of everything. He's not exceptional at everything. And then he can also play as a 6, but I think he'd be most effective as a number 8. And also I think he comes in and improves one area where we have been extremely weak, where we haven't scored a goal from since the Odegaard goal in October 2021, which is a direct free kick.
Yeah.
Douglas Luiz is one of the best free kick takers in the Premier League. So he improved. So for me, if we're going to sign this guy for 40, 50 million, it's a no-brainer for me. But
I don't even get excited about him because I don't see Aston Villa giving him to us. I don't see Newcastle giving us Bruno Guimaraes or Isak. Like I don't even.
Bruno Guimaraes has a release clause, and we have to activate. This is the guy I want.
Yeah, but I'm not paying 100 million pounds.
By the way, Stefan, you've got me big up you because you got me a subscriber. This guy's subscribed just so he can come rub it in your face.
Okay.
Again,
it's like if he signs for Arsenal, I'm going to support him. If he does well, I'll say I was wrong. But right now, if you're asking me, Stefan, are you going to pay 100 and something million for him? No, I wouldn't. So, and to be honest, you can say this, but
we're going to get some unknown Brazilian kid. That is very much possibility with Arsenal. Like I feel like we've
gone past that.
I feel like we've passed. I don't think so.
I actually think we're gonna get Solanke. I have a feeling, guys.
By the way, I got a lot of stick at work for saying this, but I actually would not. I would not be against he shouldn't be our main guy. He shouldn't be the main guy we sign. But I wouldn't be too against signing Conor Gallagher, bruv. Like, honestly, I know Stefan would hate that one, but like if we got a Douglas Luiz, if we signed a Douglas Luiz and then also signed a Conor Gallagher as well,
you're gonna pay 50 million for a marathon runner. That's what
LA Fitness.
I just think him and Rice in the midfield can lock up
midfield. What you're paying for is the English Goretzka. That's what you're paying for.
Stefan, you flinched at Kimmich. Yeah. You don't like Kimmich either?
I've always liked Kimmich, but he wants to play in midfield, and I think he's too small to play and not athletic enough to play as a number 6 in the Prem. I like Kimmich.
we need like pace and power, but technique, through balls,
We
set
have
pieces,
that.
and shooting from outside the box.
This
like
is
in
your
one
dream,
player.
Stefan. Stefan, this is your dream. This comment
Yeah.
right here. This
Watkins,
is your dream.
if we sign Watkins and Luiz, I'm really happy.
And then he followed it up with one of your. Then he followed it up with this.
No, look, Solanke for 65 minutes. Look, if we sell Eddie, we have to sign another striker. We have to, either a striker or a winger. So winger, I know he's injury prone, but I really have a soft spot for him. I love Pedro Neto. I would love Pedro Neto. I think Pedro Neto at Arsenal.
I really like this Williams kid as well.
Same.
I like
just anybody would. We need the thing that we lacked, I think, last season really was just pure speed, like pure. And that's why I think Arteta was so high on Mudryk last year, because Mudryk, if you watch him, his raw speed and his ability to, transition from one area of the pitch to the other is exceptional. Just like Pedro Neto beat Spurs at their ground by himself. Like he literally just ran through. And I think that's what we lack. Like I'll never forget that moment away to Man City when it was 0-0, when we had that through ball to Trossard, who was on the wing. And I know he should have passed to Martinelli, he should have passed to the cross. But if we had a pure speed guy there, if we had a Pedro Neto, or even Martinelli was there, they run into the box and they either score or create a massive chance. And that's what I think we really. And if you look at the actual Champions League, the most successful teams are the best counter-attacking teams with the best wingers. Bayern Munich with Leroy Sané and Coman. Real Madrid with Vinicius and Rodrigo. All of them have that type of, X-factor player, which I think we lack, that can just do something like that.
I actually agree. I actually agree with you. I think that we do very much need a pace merchant, almost, like not just that he's only got the pace, but we need that rocket, that Theo Walcott sort of player that when it does happen to us and we are getting low blocked and stuff, Martin, do you have to go now?
In like 5 minutes.
All right, cool. Just let me know and then we'll sort that. But yeah, listen, I think we need that guy that when we're low blocking, we can sit back a bit, get them on and bang, hit them on the counter, or in the Champions League when what happens. Because sometimes I think that this has been a struggle for us when teams are kind of on us. We don't have that pace sometimes to get away. Like we do the ball, we get it out, and then they kind of catch up to us. I see it against Spurs. I see it against Man City. I see it against Bayern Munich. I see it against Porto in the second leg.
This is why I was excited about Sesko, because he's got like that top speed that would have got away from defenders. So I do think we need that. But if we're going to be spending 100 million, they need to have quality to go with the speed. Theo Walcott,
Osimhen does have that.
No, Neto would be 50 to 60. I think that, I know he's been injury prone over the last 2 years, but he's not going to play as much. So I think that risk is alleviated a little bit by the fact that he's going to have to compete with Saka, with Trossard. So Neto isn't going to come in and be having to play every single game. And I just think whenever Neto plays, he's such a good player for me. So
maybe we should go back for Mudryk and just offer Chelsea a cheap 15
I would take Mudryk on loan happily. I really think Mudryk, because he's at a crap just team where there's no structure, there's no plan. You do well at the end of the season, then you sack the coach and you hire, the guy who only has championship experience. By
the way, this comment here: if Neto could stay fit, Arsenal would have a proper chance. Listen, if Pedro Neto could stay fit, you get him in a heartbeat. Yeah, if he could stay, if you could guarantee. The one thing is that he actually is injury prone. Like some players, I look at them and I feel like they could come in and not be injury prone, etc. I do think this guy just does get injured a lot. I just think there's no.
But you know what really ticks me off is that you have Pedro Neto and you have that stain of injury proneness. But for some reason, Michael Olise, who's been just as injury prone as Pedro Neto, everybody loves. And he's the same price. and in my opinion, Neto is the better player. When he plays, Neto has more goals, he's more dangerous, he's faster. I would sign Neto over Elise, but if you speak to people about Elise, it's like, oh, Elise is amazing. He's really injury prone. He missed 4 months, I think, of this year, or what was it, 3 months with this, and it's always the same injury, hamstring, which is the worst type of injury for a winger. So there is a market, but they're not sure things because of those type of issues. But let's see.
Listen, we need to start coming towards wrapping up. Martin now has to leave. We'll
have to
carry
go,
on
boys.
for another 10 minutes. Martin, thank you for being on the show. Let me just before you leave,
Special likes, guys.
Who's your one signing you'd really like to see Arsenal make in the transfer window?
Well, I think Sesko's gone, Onana's gone. Probably not going to get Fofana. Goretzka's LA Fitness. So I think I'm basically just left with Rafael Leao. Just sign him, and I'll be pretty happy.
Okay, big up,
Thanks,
Martin.
guys.
Thank you, big up,
Martin. Nice to meet you, man.
Brother, listen. I think. Listen, I think from Neto would be a great. We need a winger. We need a striker, a winger, a midfielder, and a defender. They're major, and a backup goalie if we sell Ramsdale, obviously. But like them 3 positions need to be 100% guaranteed into our team next season. Another defender, a midfielder, and a striker, and a winger. Them 4.
Look, if you look at our needs of the squad, let's just look at pure needs. Not just we all want like a star number 9 like a Haaland. If you look at the fact Arsenal scored over 90 goals. We've never scored so many goals. So you could easily make the argument that a striker isn't necessarily a major need. In my opinion, the 2 major needs in our squad where we can clearly improve, and there are options in the market, like you said, Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle, Douglas Luiz. I honestly think left back and a center midfielder that can play as a number 8, that's a more attack, like a Douglas Luiz that scores, I think is more needed than a striker. And then for me, the 3rd need would be a winger. So it's between, for me, a center mid or a winger. It's really difficult because we're gonna have to choose, man.
See, I do think that we need a striker. I think we need another option up top. I really do. Like Eddie Nketiah's got to go. He needs to leave my football club. So he needs to be replaced 100%. Like I do have this gut feeling that we're going to get someone on the level of a Xerxes or something, and that's going to end up being our guy this season, and they're going to try and go for someone bigger next season. But like, listen, the fullback, the defender I want is that Hato. I do think
he's not coming though. He's not coming. He announced like 2 or 3 days that he's staying for sure. Why would he come? He's 18, and he's guaranteed. He was captaining Ajax, I think, in the last few games, and he's guaranteed a spot. Whilst at Arsenal, he's gonna come in. He's not better than Tomiyasu when Tomiyasu is fit. Nowhere, Tomiyasu has experience. I would play him, so he's not gonna come in, and he's probably gonna be on the bench. So of course, that's why you get someone that's a different. I think we have a profile like Hato. We need to get a more athletic profile.
Yeah.
Someone, like we said, we need speed. Ayat Nouri from Wolves. Just get me 2 of the Wolves players and then 2 of the Villa players, and I'm happy. Just get me Ayat Nouri, Neto, Watkins, and Luiz, and I'm thrilled. This is perfect.
For me, I even don't mind that Diamande from Sporting either, because I do think that with like a lot of Arsenal fans need to remember we've got Timber. He's going to be like a new signing for us.
I agree. Yeah, that'll be big.
He's going to be quality, and I do think he ends up wrapping up that left back position, and he ends up being our left back next season.
Why? Why don't we sign a left back so he can play right back, where I think he'll be far more effective? Even though I love Timber as a player, and I'm sure he'll do a really good job at left back. Why don't we sign another like a left back, like a different, like what Arteta wants to do? What I keep reading from him is he wants to make us as unpredictable as possible. So that's why he always gets different profiles of players. And I would really be surprised if we get a defender that he's not more of like an athletic type of defender. And if you read Ryan Ayat Nouri's profile, it's like reading the perfect Mikel Arteta player. He can play left back, left wing, defensive midfielder, right wing. He's played literally every single position almost for Wolves. He's super versatile, very rarely injured, and a profile that has an attribute that I would say none of our fullbacks have, which is pure speed. So I just see those. But again, all I'm gonna say is I have no idea. I honestly, this is the first transfer window where I'm already fed up, man. I just want to fast forward it to the 30th of August, so then I know who we've signed and everything, so we can just get it over with. Because
big up Sad in the chat. Big up every time Football Corner done the raid. Love Sad for that, brother. This guy's saying we need speed. I show speed, brother. This guy will be more offside than Jesus and Eddie Nketiah combined, brother. Yeah, we got this guy saying Leao ain't it. Gets too much freedom to be a failure. Listen, I rate Leao, but I do think that there is a chance that Leao comes in and he isn't as good as what people think. But I do really like Leao.
I can't believe you're saying that. You're a Milan.
I'll watch
Milan. Leao is ridiculous. Like he comes on or he plays and
I think there is an element to him of an element of listen. He could come and do either. He could come in and he could completely ball out, bro. But he could also come in. I think it's that Premier League factor with him, and I don't know if his mentality is super correct to be like what we need. Like I think he's just a guy that enjoys, like he likes doing his rap and all this sort of stuff on the side. He's a guy that kind of just likes life. I don't think that's why I think he's still at Milan. I'll be real. Like this is why he hasn't pushed to move anywhere else, and he's happy there.
I mean, dude, this
is what this guy is literally saying.
I mean, yeah, but Giuseppe, he's at Milan, man. You're acting as if he's like in some fun, but Milan is one of the biggest clubs in the world. Like it's not like he's kind of settling for. I just don't think he fits the profile, because I think off the ball he's really poor. He's quite lazy. Let's be honest. He doesn't press. He's much more of a moments player where you have to give him the ball. He reminds me a little bit of Ozil, which is on the ball. Leao is just dynamite. He can literally win the game on his own. But when you need him to kind of, like what you said, does he have the right mentality? When you need him to kind of dig down, track back, tackle, do the kind of the dirty work, I don't think he like has that. So that's why
what I think.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say. But listen, I would not be moaning at all if I see the links to Leao. And I think if we actually started getting linked to him and we started bidding for him, I'd really want him. Like, I'll be real. Like, I'm saying this as like
I love Leao, man. Leao was sick.
And he's one of them players that you bring in and other teams go, oh crap.
Leao, can you imagine on the break we have Bukayo Saka on one wing and Leao on the other? That is literally like. That is for me really scary. That's why I really want us to sign Pedro Neto, because we can do some games when, let's say, we're away to Man City, we can play Martinelli on one wing and Pedro Neto in Saka's position, or Pedro Neto, because Pedro Neto is also very versatile. He also plays left wing. He's played striker. He's played as a number 10 also for Wolves. He's a super versatile player. And can you imagine the speed on the break for Pedro Neto, Saka, and people? I know people are down on Gabriel Jesus, but I want people just to remember that when he came to Arsenal before the injuries, before the World Cup, he was one of the best players in the Premier League. He was sensational, Gabriel Jesus. He was key to everything we were doing. So if Gabriel Jesus has a good preseason, gets fit, and we get him to the same levels that he was when he first came to Arsenal, he's still like 26, 27. That's another, what you just said about Timber, that's like making a new signing. So like.
No, I hear that 100%. I do think Arsenal are going to spend money in this transfer window. That's the funny thing. I actually think we're going to spend a bit of money. So it's just where we spend the money and stuff. Like this is the one thing with Arsenal. This is why I don't like to get too up in the air about things before the window's even opened and stuff, because sometimes like we laugh about certain targets, we ain't going to get them, there's no way, and then all of a sudden we go in for them, or we go in for a guy we didn't even expect, and then it ends up being a good signing. So I think we got to chill out a bit as a fan base and just wait and see what happens. I'm like you, kind of like the way football is now, I kind of don't enjoy transfers anymore because it's like it's just always just it seems like it's effort. It seems like effort. You're not even we're nothing to do with it, and it seems like effort for signing players. There's always arguments. There's always, and I know it's all about that, the debates and that, but it's just the overreaction from so many fans, in my opinion.
Be more specific. From our fan base, you know, it's I always say this: our fan base, just like the Spurs fans have their toxic positivity fan base, which is like, you know, Bissouma has 10 really good games. He's better than Declan Rice and Rodri, and you know, just delusional crap that they were saying at the start of the season. We do the opposite. We do the negative, which is we use these transfer rumors that a lot of these rumors are agents paying people like Fabrizio Romano to, you know, to leak stuff on purpose, to create interest. It's not necessarily true. And like, for example, like some negative Arsenal fans, I don't want to name them, but like they used the Benjamin Sesko announcement today as, oh, look, we have no pull. Like Arteta is a fraud. And this, like, it was embarrassing. Like, how can you not see the logic behind him staying over coming to Arsenal or Chelsea or Man United? Like, I agree with him. He made the correct. I would have been surprised if he said, I want to come to Arsenal now. But like, to this one, and our fan base needs to realize that transfers with Arsenal nowadays is very difficult because Arteta has changed completely the way we do transfer and Edu. There's nothing that comes out of the club. Nobody knew anything last season about Jurrien Timber because everybody thought he was going to Man United. Nobody knew absolutely anything about Kai Havertz. Literally nobody until when everything leaked that we were in negotiations. And nobody knew anything about David Raya. David Raya also came out of the blue sun. The only one that everybody knew was Declan Rice because Declan Rice it was leaked early on.
Even the Declan Rice thing, like I'll be real, like when you think back to the Declan Rice one, it was like there was murmurings and talking about that we're interested in him the same way we're interested and we've said we're interested in Bruno Guimaraes, and it was like disregarded by a lot of people the same way this Bruno Guimaraes one I think's been disregarded a bit because they're like, we ain't gonna do that, we ain't gonna spend that money. So like this is another thing, like we may see like a Bruno Guimaraes actually come in. Listen, I don't mind Arsenal spending money on a player, big money on a player anymore. Like I've had years of us not spending big money on players. Even if we got overpay sometimes for our players, I don't really care as long as we get good players. We're not overpaying for crap players. Like Bruno Guimaraes, 100 million. That might be overpaying, people might say, but we know, I don't care what anyone says, we know he's going to come and be a baller for this team. So I don't care if we overpay. I don't care if we pay 100 when it should be 80.
Isn't it? But isn't it worrying to you that even Man City are saying no? That's too much money.
Because Man City ain't where we are. This is the one thing that I think is different. They one can take risks because they've got so many players and they can take more risk and they've won so much. Right? We are now in a predicament where we kind of need that player more than them. Like. Listen, the reason that I think our fan base gets so overworked with transfers and that is because we haven't won anything. If we had won the last 2 leagues, where we could have definitely had won them, we would not be sitting here saying, like, our fans would not be sitting there panicking over this transfer window. They'll be like, listen, we've won 2 leagues, bro. We can add what we need, and if we find a bargain, and if we can find this, and this team is able to win. Whereas the fans now sit there as Arsenal fans and go, this team ain't there enough to win. So I think that's the difference, and that's why City won't pay for him, because I think City, and I do think City need 2 midfielders, and I think that might be another reason.
Well, City, let's be honest. When people say we've been lucky with injuries, that Saliba and Saka were injured last season, what about the argument about Rodri literally playing every single minute? And now, if Rodri gets injured, I argue you can make a sound argument, just like they say about Arsenal, that I argue that Arsenal win the league because City in the 4 games that Rodri didn't play, they lost 3 of them.
Yeah.
So
no facts, bro. And listen, with the Rodri thing as well, not in that, bro, he didn't get injured in the whole 2 seasons that we've been battling with him.
He's been playing like 60 games nonstop every single year, and he never misses a game, never rests. It's like he's like, you know, and you could see, but you could also see you also see chinks in the armor that Arsenal are rising and City. Just look at the transfers. Let's just look at how they've replaced the players. Mahrez, they replaced him with Doku. I'm sorry. That's a massive downgrade. Massive compared to what Mahrez was. Gundogan, they replaced him with Nunes. I mean, nowhere even near the impact that Gundogan has had over 2 seasons. So if you look at the fact that some of these players, no matter how good the player is, you're never going to replace a generational player like Kevin De Bruyne, which from what I'm reading now, from the rumors, is that he wants to go to Saudi. He's thinking about moving to Saudi. So if he leaves, that is a generational type of player that no matter how good the player is, you're not going to replace this type of player. So City are going to, they're not going to just keep recycling and getting the same end of results. Where I agree with you is we can improve. Our players are much younger than City's. We're going to get better. And when we sign players like Bruno, hopefully, or stuff like that, our squad will also improve its levels. But we just need to, it's really difficult, man. That's the thing that I think also Arsenal fans now are annoying me, is that when you're at this stage, it's super difficult to find that player, man, that will because you say Bruno, but if I ask you now, us getting Bruno, does it guarantee us winning the league next year for the 100 million?
I don't think any one player does, to be honest. I think we need a couple players to do that. But listen, I think the thing is, I will say is I am a personal believer that Pep Guardiola leaves City at the end of this season. And I think we end up, I think there is a good chance that we dominate the league for the next few seasons after that. And this is why I am no way, shape, or form Arteta out. And I don't know why people are, because at the end of the day,
our fan base, I hate them. I told you, this is what I mean.
Yeah, because for me, this guy that you can guarantee, no manager on earth guarantees you a league win against Man City with Pep Guardiola. And I think that you've got a guy that's competing neck and neck with him, and then he's going to leave. And then this guy that's competing neck and neck with him is now Klopp's left, Pep's left. For me, he's by far going to be the better manager in the league. Maybe a slot or something else comes in, or City get another manager that can compete. But we'll have to wait and see with that.
We're gonna see, but I'm telling you right now, like if Arteta competes with Man City now, whether he wins or not, for the 3rd successive season, Klopp has never. If you go read Klopp's record at Liverpool, he has competed with City punch to punch for 2 seasons in a row. After the 2nd season, he completely collapses. Like he's nowhere near Man City in the 3rd season. Just go look at his record. If Arteta does this, then he is, although he hasn't won the league like Klopp has, he will be more consistent in terms of competing against Pep. So the sheer, I don't know what to call it, man. Like, I don't know how you can be Arteta out. Looking at, we were a complete banter club like 6 or 7 years ago. We were a joke. Like people
people just want
the success,
the instant success. But
it was
they're
just
wrong
like
in the fact of thinking that another manager just gives us that. Like, it doesn't work like that, bro. Like maybe it could happen. I can't ever say they're wrong. They're allowed their opinion and everything. But like, for example, I'm gonna be real. If I'm playing a game, and I'm using a controller, and the controller is a little bit sticky on an analog stick, and I'm playing a guy and he's the best guy at the game and he keeps narrowly beating me, I can't guarantee that a new controller is just going to instantly win me the game. I can't guarantee that. This guy is still the best there is. So
Giuseppe, it's the media narrative. Like, I know this is going to sound controversial. Klopp has won the league once in 9 years and he's called this massive legend. I'm sorry, he's not. He's nowhere near Arsene Wenger. He's nowhere near Mourinho. He's nowhere near any of these coaches, because Klopp has won the league once, the same amount as Claudio Ranieri, the same amount as who else has won the league once? I'm trying to think now. Carlo Ancelotti and all these managers that have won the Premier League once. Conte. So he has done as much as they have, but they call him a legend, but they don't call Ranieri a legend. They don't call Conte a Premier League legend. They call him a legend, even though he's lost the league 8 times out of 9. And to be honest, if you look at his league positions, he competed in 2018, 2019, lost the league on the last day, won the league in the COVID season in 2019, 2020, had a complete collapse in 2020, 2021 because of injuries to Van Dijk, where they almost finished outside of the top 4. Went close again the year after, Then last year was horrendous, finished 5th, and this year dropped off and finished 3rd. So like people need to remember that what Arteta has done, it's when Arteta wins the Premier League, which I think is inevitable. Like you said, I just think the way we're rising and the way it looks like Pep is going, and again, no matter how good your structure is, you're not replacing a coach like Pep Guardiola. No matter how perfect the profile, if it's Xabi Alonso after, if it's whoever, you're not replacing one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach of all time, successfully and fluidly. Like everything is going to stay. It's not going to happen,
bro. 100%.
Yeah.
Listen, we got. But
the final thing is, look at Liverpool this season. Liverpool, in my opinion, this year are not going to finish in the top 4 because of this. Yeah.
Okay. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But bro, listen, I've got to start wrapping up because I've got to go do some stuff. But listen, thanks for coming on. The one thing I will end on what you said about Pep not being replaceable, and I think if you ask Man City, the club, and if you asked Pep Guardiola himself, and if you asked a lot of Man City fans that are being honest, the best replacement for Pep Guardiola would be Mikel Arteta. And I actually generally do believe that. So, but listen, I rate Mikel Arteta. I'm not Mikel Arteta out. I think he's done loads for our team. But listen, people, we have to end it there. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff for me. Please subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot more content. Thank you, Stefan, for coming on, my brother. These last couple comments before we go.
I'm not. Yeah. Look, I just want to address before we go. I'm not talking about Klopp's achievements. What annoys me is that the media narrative around Arteta is that as if what he has done with Arsenal in terms of transitioning us from being 8th, from being an embarrassment, from being a club that was soft, that had no culture, that had players that were overpaid, stuff. Arteta has transitioned us into now a serious club where pretty much. Giuseppe said it. When we're interested in players, the only teams that I wouldn't have full confidence in us signing is when we're competing against Real Madrid and Man City. Even Bayern Munich now, if you look at some players prefer us over Bayern. Yuri and Timber said yes to Arsenal and no to Bayern Munich. So this is the level. Declan Rice even said no to Man City. This is the recruitment potential that Arsenal had. Do you guys remember 4 years ago when we got rejected by Emi Buendia to Aston Villa? Do you remember this? And when people talk, and the final thing, when people talk about I don't downplay Klopp. I just get annoyed at the fact that everybody calls him this legend, this Premier League legend, when he's won 1 league title. When he's won, and everybody gives these excuses about Klopp that if he didn't have to compete against Man City, he would have won 3 or 4. I could make the same excuse about Arsenal, that Arsenal would have won last year and Arsenal would have won this year if it wasn't for Pep. But no, the actual narrative in the media is Arsenal have to win something. Okay. Well, okay.
We know that the media hates Arsenal anyway, but that's for another day. Listen, thank you, Stefan. Like, share, subscribe, people. Make sure you smash the subscribe button. I'll be back with many videos this week and many more transfer talks. Hopefully, we can be back here with a few sign-ins and talk about the sign-ins and see what they're doing. But listen, people, Sicilian Gooner out. Peace.
See you guys.